What is up, Anointed One, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I share another incredibly sensitive and frankly disturbing news that has rocked the Christian music world. Just when we were processing the allegations against former Newsboys frontman Michael Tate, another bombshell has dropped. Reinhardt, former guitarist for the hugely popular band NEEDTOBREATHE, has publicly accused his brother and the band's lead singer, Reinhardt, of SA during their childhood. Late last week, Bo took to Instagram with a raw and deeply personal statement. In it, he identifies himself as an alcoholic, a sinner, a believer, and crucially, a survivor of childhood SA. He goes on to detail the horrific experiences he allegedly endured, naming a camp counselor, a youth pastor, and his own brother, Reinhardt, as his abusers. The weight of these words is immense, and the subsequent now-deleted Instagram story with a picture of Bear captioned "sensual" sent shockwaves through the band's fan base and the wider Christian music community. This is Boai. I am an alcoholic. I am a sinner. But I am a believer. I believe in God's grace. And I believe that His mercy has shown that He is consistent, even though we don't deserve it. I am a survivor of childhood SA. I've been sensually abused by a camp counselor. I've been sensually, physically, and emotionally abused by my brother, and I've been abused by my youth pastor. I believe that God has bigger plans for me, and part of those plans are telling my story because it's so hard for anyone to tell stories like these. Even when my faith has been crushed, I know that God still has provisions for me. If you're out there and you're thinking, nothing can be done, no one can help, there's no way out, I'm with you. But I believe in a God who always finds a way. Don't give up, and don't lose hope. For those unfamiliar, Need to Breathe has been a significant force in contemporary Christian music for over 2 decades, even achieving mainstream success with their anthemic rock sound. The brothers, Bear and Bo, were the core of that creative energy. Bo's departure from the band in 2020 was already noted by fans, but this revelation casts a starkly different light on that separation. This news arrives at a particularly sensitive time, as we are still grappling with the multiple allegations of SA leveled against Michael Tate. These two situations, while involving different individuals and circumstances, create a troubling pattern, raising serious questions about accountability, safety, and the potential for abuse within Christian circles that often present an image of wholesomeness and moral uprightness. Over the weekend, Reinhardt issued a response to his brother's allegations, also via Instagram. His statement is carefully worded, expressing love for Bo and acknowledging his brother is clearly in pain. However, Bear vehemently denies the specific accusation of abuse by Bo. He does confirm that both he and Bo were SA'd as children by a teenage counselor at a Christian camp, a traumatic experience he says he chose not to share publicly until now to protect his family, particularly his 3 young sons. Read Bear's full statement. I feel the need to comment on the deeply hurtful and misleading accusations that my brother Bo made the other night on social media. I love Bo deeply, and I always will. Since his departure from the band over 5 years ago, we have done everything in our power to treat him with respect and privacy. I would never choose to disparage him, especially at a time where he is clearly in pain. But as a father and husband, I must protect my family from claims that misrepresent the truth. Until now, I had chosen to not share this publicly, not because I'm ashamed, but because I've wanted to protect my family. I have 3 young boys, and I wanted them to hear about my story from me directly, when the time is right and not through social media or online speculation. Bo's post has now made it impossible for me to remain private about this period of our childhood any longer. I can only hope that God has a plan for this down the road. I have always respected Bo's right to speak about his own story, but I cannot allow him to misrepresent mine. My brother and I were both SA'd at the age of 8 and 6 by a teenage counselor at the Christian camp where we grew up. Neither of us received support for these events until well into adulthood, and were both left to navigate the rest of childhood and adolescence with deep pain and confusion. I carried shame and anger for years after, but through many hours of counseling and the support of friends and family I was able to share it with, I truly believe I have found freedom from it. Bo's recent accusation of me conflates our shared experience of abuse with a childhood incident he misrepresents. While going through a 2-day intensive counseling session with Bo 5 years ago, I learned that he was hurt by things that happened in our early teen years as well. At that counseling session, I took full responsibility for any part I played in that pain. We processed those moments of shared trauma in detail and left with an understanding that we were two young boys trying to cope with the unimaginable. To now label me an abuser in such a heartless way is not only deeply painful, but it is also wildly misleading and feels intentionally harmful. Even after all of this, I am still hopeful for a reconciliation someday with my brother that I know only God can provide. I truly do pray for his healing. I believe that all of us are broken and in need of a savior. My brother and I are no different. I believe our calling is to love those who are hurting and show them the grace that God has extended us. I hope I've done that here, while also defending the father, husband, and friend I've worked hard to become. Please pray for our family, and all we can ask is that you respect our privacy during this time. Bear. Bear states that Bo's accusation conflates our shared experience of a BUSE with a childhood incident he misrepresents. He references a 2-day intensive counseling session 5 years ago where he learned Bo was hurt by events in their early teens and claims he took full responsibility for any part I played in that pain. He concludes by calling Bo's accusations wildly misleading and feels intentionally harmful, expressing hope for reconciliation and asking for prayers and privacy. So, where do we go from here? This is a deeply complex and painful situation. On one hand, we have Bo Reinhardt sharing his truth, a story of alleged abuse that no one should have to endure. The courage it takes to come forward with such allegations is immense, and we must acknowledge the potential for further trauma this public disclosure may cause him. On the other hand, Bear Reinhardt is strongly denying these specific allegations while acknowledging their shared history of a BUSE at the hands of another individual. His desire to protect his family and his account of their past attempts at reconciliation also carry weight. It's crucial to remember that at this stage, these are allegations and responses. There has been no independent investigation or legal proceedings. As commentators, it's our responsibility to discuss this with sensitivity and avoid making definitive pronouncements of guilt or innocence. However, these unfolding events, coupled with the Tate allegations, force us to confront uncomfortable truths. How prevalent is a BUSE within faith-based communities? Are victims feeling safe and supported enough to come forward? What role do power dynamics and the pressure to maintain a certain image play in these situations? These are questions that the Christian music industry and its listeners must grapple with. It's also important to consider the impact on the fans. Need to Breathe's music has touched the lives of countless people, often providing comfort and inspiration. This news will undoubtedly be incredibly upsetting and confusing for many. It raises questions about how we reconcile the art with the artist, and how we support both survivors and those who are accused while upholding principles of justice and truth. This is a developing story, and we will continue to follow it with sensitivity and respect for all involved. What are your thoughts on this? Share your perspectives in the comments below. Let's keep the discussion respectful and focused on the important issues at hand. Thank you for watching.